Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Happy to welcome Chris Sebela back to Word Balloon. Chris, I've been a fan, as he knows, since his Monkey Brain comic that he did with Ibrahim Mustafa, High Crimes, many, many moons ago. But it's been a good career, and I'm always happy to check back in with Chris and see what's going on, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely, man. Really excited to talk to you about some of the new books. And you got a Comixology original, and you've got an Oni book. And what other publisher did you throw at me?
Well, I'm kickstarting a book right now.
Oh, okay.
So it's I guess I'm the publisher this time.
Is that
Falbrud?
It is Foul. Okay.
Yeah.
Right now here I got there we go. I got Falbrud and I got Self. So
Yep.
let's talk about Falbrud to begin with.
All right.
You tell me, give us the 10-cent pitch on Firebug. Obviously, you tell from the cover, there's some honeycombs there and a couple bees and a gun, so that gives you a good indication.
Yeah, it's about bees and crime, and the intersection of bees and crime. It's a crime story centered around beehive theft, which is an actual thing that happens in the world. But it's sort of four different, not storylines, but four different groups of people who all come together because this guy rips off a bunch of beehives from our main character, and she goes after him to get them back. So it's kind of a revenge story, a rural noir sort of thing. It's a bunch of things in one.
This is what you do, though, and I love this. You come up with great backdrops for procedurals or crime stories or whatever. And just like with High Crimes, we learned a lot about mountaineering, reading that fantastic book back in the day. And here we are now with beekeeping. Obviously that's cool. So have you done it? Are you an amateur bee or are you
No.
professional? I mean, so how did you learn about it other than the internet or whatever? Do you know beekeepers in Portland?
No, I've met some online. I largely have hated bees most of my life. Like
me too.
I've only been stung once, but that was enough.
Absolutely hilarious. Yes.
And yeah, bees just seem like the bugs that like most harass you. So I had it out for them, but I read this story back in 2017, I think it was, about this guy who got busted stealing all these beehives.
Okay.
And they quoted one of the cops who he just put them all on an empty lot. And they quoted one of the cops who found it, describing the scene as a chop shop of stolen bees. And that was such a good phrase. Like, just my brain lit up and was like, there's something here. I still have an email I wrote to an editor that day where I was like, hey, have you seen this story? I think there's something really cool here. And he's like, yeah, there might be. Good luck. So I went away and started working on it. And here we are.
How'd you find your artist? I love the style. Tell me about your artist.
Claire Rowe. We worked together on a book at Boom called Welcome Back, which is a creator-owned book I did there.
Okay.
And it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. I love her stuff. I think she's like endlessly great. And so I've been trying to get her to work on something with me, and we were all set to start working on a book I had ready to go about a pandemic that kills hundreds of millions of people. And this was in March. We were getting ready to go, March of 2020. And
my God,
could see all the news. And I wrote her, I was like, hey, I don't think maybe we should do this book right now because there's an actual pandemic happening and it might be in bad taste. And she's like, oh, you're right. So then we pivoted over to the bee story, which I had waiting to go.
That's awesome. That's great, man. And also wonderful that you were able to juke and go in another direction, because that was going to be another one of my stock questions is, were you able to still create during the pandemic? Did it stop you? Did you?
It's definitely slowed me down.
Sure.
It's a hard time for everybody. And like, it's just, it's been super weird and, much more isolated. And I'm kind of a hermity dude, but I didn't realize how much I depended on like those bursts of interactions you get at conventions. Like those like 3-day weekends you have where you just get all your socializing in. and I didn't realize how much I thrived on that. So I was just, a lot of time losing my mind a bit. But I stayed productive. I tried to stay productive,
Okay.
and the money I was saving by not going to cons, I put that towards making Dirtbag Rapture.
Yes.
Kendall and I just started working on it. I was like, I'll pay you to draw it. I don't know what we'll do with it when we finish the first issue, but we'll figure that out later. I just want to make a comic. So it kind of worked out for me a little bit, but it's been a weird. I haven't been nearly as productive as I wanted to be.
Totally understand, man. No, that's insane. And again, it's something that you've shared with a lot of other creators, but I'm glad that you were able to adjust. And I will definitely get to the Oni book in a second, Dirtbag Rapture. I've got the Kickstarter site ready. Do you want me to show the video? Would that help? Or?
Oh no, we can skip that.
Okay, no problem.
I made that thing. It was like
man.
5 a.m, and I was pretty gacked. So
totally
I don't think
understand.
it's the best representation of. I mean, it's a fine for somebody who stumbles on it, but we can just talk about it. That's
sure,
probably
man.
more interesting.
No, absolutely. Can I show pages that you've got on?
Yeah, for sure.
Campaign? All right, I'll do that because I do want to. I do want to show some art and everything, and let people know what it looks like because it does look great, and it is again. It's another tight crime story from you, which is always great, and it's the first 2 issues you're kickstarting, obviously.
Yeah, we've got them all done. Like they're all drawn and colored and almost done being lettered. So yeah, and I put together I'm really proud of the team. Like everybody's, we've just been working on it for free, just for
totally.
Nobody told us to go out and make 50 pages of comics for nothing, but we were. Everybody's just super excited about it, and it's been really weird, just sort of working on a book without permission. It's just been, I don't know. It's why I keep talking about it so glowingly. Is I don't know. I really believe in this book, and I know it's a book that's kind of outside of what I don't know, super popular comics are, I guess. It's much more of a slow burn. It's
okay.
I don't know. It's just a different kind of thing. So I understand it not being I don't know, it's just kind of a freak book, but I love it. I love it because of that.
Well, yeah, and also, man, I do think that as readers get older, we still want action. We still want, some sort of procedural or whatever. We still like superheroes, but also we're looking for something different. And that's why you immediately had my attention with High Crimes, because, again, it was kind of a cool backdrop. And I do think that crime also welcomes these little kind of niche sort of backdrops and stuff. And all of a sudden it is like, well, wait a minute, what's going on with the bees? How is, and that's a cool backdrop. It's also funny too. I'm gonna make a comment about your isolation and stuff and previous Kickstarter. I'm sure we've talked about this every time you've been on. But
it's a subject that always comes up. I'm more than happy to talk about it. It's a very
tell me about the dog. I see Petey right there.
Oh yeah, that's Zola.
What's his name again?
Zola. Yeah, she's been my constant companion through the pandemic. So
she's beautiful.
Yeah,
hi, buddy. Look at you. Can you be cuter?
And she always knows when I'm doing a podcast somehow, because she never does this when I'm in here working. It's only when I'm talking into the microphone.
Maybe she knows. Maybe she can hear me. Hi, Zola. You're adorable. Oh my God. What kind of I was going to say, what kind of make is that? Like it's a Ford.
She's a Staffordshire Terrier pit bull.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Jesus. That's a beautiful dog. That's fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah. No, she's super great. I super lucked out getting her. And yeah, she's good for me mentally and personally. But also good for me online. Sometimes, I want to tweet something that I'm just don't do that. So I just post a photo of my dog instead. And nobody can get mad at that. So it's a good diffusing technique.
That's cool. I'm all right. I'm looking at the Kickstarter. What do you want to let people know as far as did you get people to do commission sketches or different covers or anything that people
Yeah,
can
we got a bunch of we got Tyler Boss,
nice,
Malachi Ward, Rostein and Ted Brandt, who do Crowded with me.
wonderful. Yes.
Chris Visions, who I did Dead Letters with. Jonathan Brandon Sawyer, who I've done some stuff with. And Josh Hickson, who I did Shanghai Red with.
Okay. See, that's what I mean, Chris. I mean, you've got this great library of fantastic, adventure stories and procedurals and crime and everything. So yeah, I mean, I hope I didn't even look at the numbers, but you've certainly done Kickstarters in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope you've got your crowd. Well, there you go. You've got all right, so you got 3 weeks to go. You're 2/3 of the way there.
Yeah.
So you're looking for 15 grand, you're at 9,000 right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I feel good about it. Like it's been so long since I've done one. I've had a lot of time to brace myself mentally for it. Like doing Kickstarters can be very like taxing on your mind.
100%. Good Lord, yes.
You take it as like some sort of comment on who you are as a person sometimes. Like
yeah.
And when things slow down, it just like then all the weird head demons start coming out. So, but I've done it 3 times before, so I'm kind of used to it now. And yeah, I'm feeling really good about it. Like the response has been really great, and yeah, it just feels good to like. I mean, the best part of the whole thing was just like announcing the book to the world, and just because I've been talking about the B crime book for a couple of years now, so it was so nice to just like say like, here it is, like this is the actual thing. Like such a load off, like all the stress poured out of me, and then a different form of stress poured into me as soon as the Kickstarter started. So
yeah, honestly, everything you've described, from will they like it, will they back it, to fulfillment and everything that happens not only during the 30 days of the campaign, but fulfillment afterwards and stuff. I'm scared to death to dip my toe in the Kickstarter pool. Believe me,
it's a lot, but yeah. You learn. I'm gonna try and outsource a lot of the shipping stuff to try and like, I know the mistakes I've made in the past, so now I'm trying to approach things, I don't know, slightly smarter.
Yeah, I beg your pardon. Excuse me. This is not a reflection of the conversation.
No, that's fine.
Was your first or second Kickstarter the one at the Clown Hotel?
That was my first ever. So yeah,
I'm gonna make you tell the story again, Chris, because I really do love the story.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine. We had gone to the Clown Motel the year previous because it had started popping up online, and it's a clown themed motel in the middle of the desert. It's right next to a turn of the century graveyard. There's an abandoned mine in the same town. Like it sounded like 3 horror movies in one. So
100%. Yes. Why wouldn't you go?
Yeah, I did a road trip. Like I drove down to California, then over to Vegas, picked her up, and then we went to the Clown Motel for a weekend. And then I got mixed up on the drive back home and wound up staying at the Clown Motel an additional night because I thought I was going one way, and it ended up I was back on the same road to the Clown Motel, and it was too dark. But as soon as I left, I kept thinking about it. I was like, man, like I'd love to like spend an extended amount of time there. I don't know why. But that was a thought I had. And then I was like, I could do it as like a writer's retreat. I could go there for 30 days and just like no distractions. There's nothing to do in town, like except to go to a restaurant or go to a bar or go to the casino.
A bar.
Yeah. So yeah, then but I was like, I don't want to pay for it. So Kickstarter, I was like, what if I did it? Like, I basically decided to let the internet vote on whether I would go or not. So I added up like what it would cost to rent a room for a month, what my rent would be while I was gone, like, et cetera, et cetera. And I put a dollar figure on it, and then I launched it. And it got funded in like 4 hours. And it just felt like it was both like it was exhilarating that like people were giving to this, but also it was like maddening. It was like, no, don't make me go. Like, why are
Exactly.
you doing
What are
this?
you doing, man? I
Yeah.
know. It's very Jack Nicholson, The Shining. Hey, it sounds great. I'll be the caretaker of this place. That'll be great. What could go wrong?
So
For a
yeah,
month.
then I went. I moved
my
to
God.
Tonopah, Nevada, for a month, and yeah, it was a long, 30 days is a long time to spend in a
Yeah, man.
motel.
Did you generate stories?
Yeah.
What books were inspired or were created at the Clown Motel?
Geez. Well, I was actually the book that Claire and I were doing before Welcome Back. I was working on while I was there.
Okay.
I don't know. I've come up, like, there's a book I did at Vault called Test, which is very based a lot. The town that book takes place in is very based on Tonopah. I'm
How
still
many
feeling
what's the population of Tonopah?
not
138?
no, it's I don't know. It's in the hundreds, I
Okay.
think.
Okay.
But they don't have a hospital. Like, if you need to
Oh,
go to the
yikes.
hospital, you have to go like 60 miles up the road to.
Wow.
You have to cross state lines. Actually, you have to go to Bishop, California. So
wow.
it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Are there
It's
snakes? Are there
I didn't see snakes. There's a lot of
spiders?
meth.
A lot of meth. Well, that's
a lot of meth.
That's just an option. Very
a lot
good.
of meth, a lot of alcoholism. Like, it's I mean, I don't mean to paint a severely bleak picture of the town, but there was enough that I noticed it a lot.
Oh dear, that's terrible. Oh my God. Was the Clown Motel, does it have all right, you'll be in the Emmett Kelly room or you'll be in the
no, it's just numbers.
Okay.
And I stayed in
the rooms. Are there sad
clown paintings? Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow.
So yeah, I stayed in the same room for the whole month. I had asked them about moving around, and they were like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, I'm going to be here for a month. Like, I'd like to mix it up." And they're like, "Well, we kind of gave you the nicest room." Like, and it was not a very nice room, but
oh my God. Wow. Did you were you a fan of what was it called? The Kristen Bell the Good Place.
Oh yeah.
So like her house motif for the clowns and everything, did it bring back sad memories?
Yeah, that was way more clown. Like, the Clown Motel now looks like that. Back then it was very sort of subtle. It was just, they had bought it from a couple who were the ones who were into the clowns, and they just sold the whole thing part and parcel. So the people who owned it, they weren't into clowns. They were just like, well, we have a theme, why mess with it? So it was very, like, it wasn't super enthusiastic clowns stuff. Like, you just had your portrait in the room. Sometimes my friend Carla came and stayed for a weekend. She had 2 clown portraits in her room. Wow. So it varied a little, but yeah, they were all like clown paintings you would see at a thrift store.
No, I get it. I'm in my mid-50s, and sadly, our pediatrician in suburban Chicago was a big fan of the clown paintings, and yeah, man, it was like not pleasant memories. And I had bad, like, 4 years old. I remember being at a church bazaar with my aunt, and a clown squirted me with his flour, and I started crying. And my aunt, like, chewed the guy out. It's like, what are you doing? That's not funny. You think that's funny? Squirting water at a little kid? Look at him crying. That's all your fault. And I'm like, yeah. Way to go.
Yeah.
So
at least you got a really good response. Like, at least it wasn't like they just let it happen. Like, you knew you could fight back against clowns.
That's amazing, man. Seriously, I love it. Every time I'm probably gonna forget. Go, tell me about the Clown Motel again.
No, it comes out, like, when I left, I thought, okay, well, I'm done with that. Put that in my rear view, and it, like, people just kept like, I put together a zine of it. I'm on the 4th edition of the zine now, and, like, Francesco Francavilla did the cover for it. Like,
oh, that's fantastic. Francesco.
It got really out of hand. I didn't expect for it to be the thing that it was, but
but every now and then I hear about. I remember Tony Akins used to tell me about a clown themed, like, noir idea, or I mean, got it. I'm an old Hollywood freak. Greatest Show on Earth. You got Jimmy Stewart as a fugitive on a run. Is a clown in that movie and stuff to hide from the cops and everything. Sure, I'm a clown, you see. I'm totally for it. And honestly, I would love to see a well-made like noir where maybe the clown's pining for the hot bearded lady.
Sure.
And, the clown's either the detective or the patsy that, falls under whatever terrible crime and stuff like that. So come on, Chris, I got it half written.
All right.
Let's take it to the hole. Come on.
Okay. I'll get to work on it this weekend. I'll see what I can generate.
But really, man, no, that's terrific. And all right, so we got 3 weeks for Foul Brood to hit its mark for the first 2 issues. Will that complete the story, or is it more?
No, we're looking at 6 issues total, but
okay.
I just wasn't confident in asking for the amount of money it takes to make 6 issues of comics, so we're just sort of baby stepping our way through it. Like,
sure.
And yeah, I figure like we can build off this, and then the next one we do, like we have sort of a built-in audience, and then we can turn it on to new people. Like, it's a model that I'm trying. I don't know how, it's my first time trying it, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Justin Gray has been doing that with his books, and also Ron Randall with his
with Trekker.
Yeah, with Trekker, exactly. So yeah, man, no, I think that's cool. Do you have beyond your own experience? Do you have a Kickstarter guru?
No, I mean, I know I almost got one. I almost hired a guru to help on this, but it just didn't come together. So mostly it's, like just friends of mine who have done it more recently that I was talking to David Pepos.
Sure. Saw him in Baltimore, and he just won a Ringo.
Yeah. So he was super helpful to me because he clearly knows what he's doing. And I was like, I haven't done this in 3 years. Please help me. So, but other than that, just like looking at other people's you learn a lot from seeing like what works, especially like doing it as like an autopsy of seeing like, okay, well, here's what sold best for them, and here's what didn't move the needle. Trying to figure out, you don't want to overwhelm people and like, hey, we have 600 tiers for offer. Like, good luck scrolling through all of them before you just get bored and close the window. So
totally,
it's a whole bunch of stuff that, I'm just trying to teach myself like through trial and error. So this is my trial.
Again, man, you've got. I really do think a lot of your stories I've enjoyed over the years, and I think, it's good to cultivate a Kickstarter audience, because I think your kind of books kind of lend themselves to Kickstarter projects in the best way, where you can deal directly with an audience that knows your bibliography and wants to continue to read new stuff from you, and especially stuff that are passion projects for you that you want to get through. I think it's great.
Yeah, and ultimately, I have more book ideas than any reasonable publisher would say yes to, so I have to figure out some new avenues for them.
Sure, but why wait? I mean, that's exactly great thing. So Zola agrees, right? Zola, adorable. Look at you, Zola. Oh, I love dogs. I can't have one. I'm not responsible enough, frankly.
Yeah, this is my first one ever. Dogs. So
what's that?
This is my first one ever. So I finally got responsible enough to take care of some other living being besides myself.
She's lovely. I'm very excited for you on that. So let's move on to Oni and talk about Dirtbag Rapture.
All right. This is it's a supernatural sort of comedy book. It's about our main character, Kat. She died for about 10 minutes, and when she came back to life, she had the ability to see and talk to ghosts. And one thing she quickly found out is like when you die, you're sort of stuck wherever you died. But Kat has the ability, she can pick these ghosts up and basically take them wherever they want to go. So like, if you died out of town and you want to go back home to where your family is, she can do that for you.
Wow.
But because Dirtbag is in the title, Kat needs to get paid, so she tends to get like blackmail information from these ghosts, like, tell me who in your life I could go shake down for a couple $100.
Hilarious.
And then she finds out that she's accidentally like the centerpiece of this war between like angels and demons trying to wreck the world, and she has to take some responsibility for once in her life.
Very cool. And who's is it? Matthew Good? That's
no, Kendall Good.
Kendall Good, excuse me. Tell me about Kendall Good.
Kendall's great. I first he did this book at Heavy Metal called The Doorman. And that was where I first saw his stuff. And then he did a variant cover for me once. He's somebody I've been wanting to work with, and finally, it was pandemic, and like we both had openings in our schedule, so I just hit him up out of the blue. I was like, hey, I can't pay you very much, but I will pay you to draw this first issue. Sent him the script. He super loved it, and as soon as he drew our main character, I knew that like he 100% got it, and like he was, I don't know, like I tend not to think very much about what my characters look like. I try to leave that open for the artist, but like this is one of the rare times where like when they send you the sketch, you're like, oh, that's them. Like it's
That's great.
I just sort of knew in my heart, I was like, that's who Cat is. Like, and I couldn't see it, but Kendall could. So yeah, he's great. He's got I don't know, just everything. So far this book is beautiful, and it's a lot is him and a lot is Gab Contreras, our colorist. Like they work really well together. And like part of the book takes place in the real world, and then part takes place in this landscape in her head where she stores all the ghosts. She's built this like forest and a hotel in her head where they live while she's moving them. So yeah, the visual look it's very clear whenever we're inside her head or when we're in the real world, without like us stopping and having a character like point it out to the audience.
Well, all three books you're discussing, you said to me, the art's gorgeous.
Yeah.
You sent me 3 issues. Are 3 issues out?
The third one's coming out right at the start of December.
Very cool. That's awesome. And is that did you say that's a 6-parter, or how long is this?
No, it's 5 issues.
5 issues. Okay.
Yeah.
And for Modi. Okay.
Yeah. And they've been super cool. I brought it to them and they were really into it. And I was like, well, I've already assembled the team. And like, I've already written most, or I have it like mapped out. Here's how it's going to be. And they were like, yeah, we're totally on board. So they were super, I mean, I love Oni. They're like the first publisher who really sort of gave a crap about me. And like reached out to me and said like, hey, if you have any ideas, like we'd love to hear some of them. So,
wow.
So yeah, they've, I will, and I did 3 volumes of a book called Heartthrob there with Robert Wilson IV. And yeah, they've just, I don't know, they just like really understand and are really open to like giving you the room to tell the best story you possibly can.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Oni's editorial choices, and a lot of the people on Word Balloon have put out Oni books. A. Lamar wants to know, is Crowded finished?
No, the third. So we stopped doing single issues, but the third volume is basically 85% done. We're finishing up the colors now.
Okay.
So that's going to be coming out in the first, in the first few months of 2022 as a single trade paperback, and it's pretty hefty. It's like 160 pages. So
nice.
It's our final volume. Like we wrap everything up. Yeah, I love it. Like it came out, that was another book that we were working on during pandemic. But it was so nice to like have that coming in and like
remind people of the plot of Crowded.
Crowded's like a book that takes place in a world where there's basically a Kickstarter for assassinations. And our main character, she gets a campaign opened on her and it hits $1 million right away. So everybody in the world wants to kill her and collect on it. And she hires a bodyguard from this sort of Uber for bodyguards app. And they're basically being chased by everyone in the world who wants some money, and chaos ensues.
I do remember this. That's excellent. And I'm going to have to pick up that final volume. That's wonderful. Now I got to ask you about your Comixology original. And once again, man, I always say this because I mean it. I love the tastemakers at Comixology. And did you deal with Chip Mosier directly to get this thing going?
Yeah. Chip was the first dude I talked to. Like I talked to him at New York Comic-Con, 2019. Yeah. And basically like we just went and stood outside and he we talked about Comixology originals, and I told him a couple of my ideas, and he was like, "Well, pick the one that you like the best and send it to me next week." So Dot Self, I had pretty much like worked out everything about it. I just didn't have anywhere to put it, so I sent him that and asked Cara if she would be interested, and she had room. And yeah, it was off to the races. Like, it was super easy. Compared to a lot of books I've had to get like approvals on. Like, it was just like I sent it to Chip and he was like, "I love this." Like,
That's great.
and he had to run it up the ladder and everybody else seemed to like it. So yeah, it all happened. It was very much a whirlwind. It was like, oh crap, I guess we're making a book now. So.
That's fantastic, man. So another, man, this is really, God, I hate this phrase, but it really is outside the box. And in fact, well, there are boxes in the story as well. But yeah, tell me, try to explain self right now.
So Dot Self is revolves around this technology called Postscript, where it basically backs up everything about you as a human being. So it's like an implant inside you, and it goes to basically like an Alexa that just stores all your memories, all your feelings, everything that makes you you. And our main character, her unit gets hacked, and they steal her .self file and they put it up on like Pirate Bay. And so people start downloading it and messing around with it and loading it into these artificial bodies. And then these bodies basically get loose and they all think they're her. But they're all slightly bootleg versions of her. So each one is kind of following a different dream of hers that she gave up on.
Oh, wow.
Just kind of like causing complete chaos in her life. And so she has to, and then they all start coming to town. So she has to start dealing with them before they completely destroy her life.
Wow. That's very Orphan Black in terms of the different multiple possibilities. And also Max Collins and the great Canadian comedian Dave Thomas just made a book, The Many Lives of Jimmy Layton, that deal with like alternate universes and stuff. And it's got the kind of same thing where he's discovering all these different lives his life could have taken. So that's cool. That's awesome. And how many issues for Self?
This one's 5.
Okay. Excellent.
That's sort of my sweet spot. If I can get, Foulbrood, we're sort of luxuriating a little bit. But yeah, 5 issues feels like if I can't do it in 5, then I need to go back to the drawing board.
Well, and that seems to be the format right now for trades. So I can appreciate that.
It's good to have those limitations, though. Like, it keeps you from getting a little too self-indulgent.
100%, man. Yeah, I mean, I think back 10 and 15 years ago when a lot of really good books got going and they hit like the 30 or 35 issue mark. And it's like, okay, your audience has been there for you. Do you have an end in sight, or how do you think this is going to go? And it was very interesting to kind of watch these various books. I won't name them because I don't want to, offend the creators. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah,
it's the same as like the TV show Lost, like, a show that I loved, but definitely like hit that middle. They had to fill 24 hours a year, so there are definitely spots where it's like, okay, we're just kind of kicking the ball around and we're not moving it anywhere, but we're playing with it so you can see and enjoy. And yeah, I just don't want to. I want to get in and get out and tell the best story I can without, wearing anybody out.
Totally understand, man. No, it's cool. And again, great art. So Kara McGee and company. We see the whole team right there on the cover. It's I like the look of the book, and I enjoyed the first issue that I read. So well done.
Thanks.
Absolutely, man. How far into the story are you there? 2 or 3?
No, first issue, second issue comes out next month. So that just kicked off. I've had a really busy fall. Like, I had basically nothing coming out over the summer. But I kept telling people, I was like, I swear I have books coming, I swear. And then they all just sort of clumped together right at the end of the year. I didn't plan it that way, but
that was why, man. I saw your tweet on Twitter, and you're like, "Hey, I want to talk about my books," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, man." It's like, and I'm glad Dave Harper took you up on it as well. And I'm sure you've done other subsequent podcasts as well, or
Yeah,
or
I'm trying to. Yeah, it's also been
what?
so long since I've done podcast stuff that like I'm trying to remember how to do that without being a complete idiot. So,
Well, you don't have to worry, man. I mean, we're doing good tonight. Everything's great.
yeah, I feel good about this.
Attaboy. No, definitely. So are you doing any conventions? I asked you off the air if you were coming to Chicago, and you're smart because as you know, it's December in Chicago and you're not coming.
Yeah.
So you had enough of that in your life before. So
Yeah. None this year. I'm going to start going again next year. Like I'll feel, I don't know. Also, the fact that everything got moved to December, it just feels like a really weird time to have conventions. So
yeah.
even if I were like 100% secure about, safety and all that stuff, like it still feels like Christmas is 3 weeks away. What are we doing? So
Oh yeah. I'm doing a couple online things for C2E2 in Emerald City and one in-person thing for C2E2 that I believe I can announce that one. I'm talking to Charles Soule and Ryan Brown about their
nice.
books and their collaboration. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But a couple of online things I can't talk about.
Sure.
But I feel like one of you guys in it. Project, I can't talk about it.
Yeah, just talk around it. That's more fun.
So no, that's cool, man. What else are you? Again, you mentioned, obviously when you were watching Lost and everything. I isn't it fascinating, even as a viewer, and as someone that obviously does write, does do storytelling. I just think of how things are shaking out as we slowly come out of COVID and the Delta variant and everything, in terms of what's playing at the box in the theaters, the survival of movie theaters, the obvious growth and explosion of good television, and also maybe the narrowing of what will play in movie theaters in months and years to come. I think I don't know if we can go back to, I want to see the weepy drama that's gonna capture all the Oscars and stuff. I mean, it's gonna play in the art houses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's going to get the mass audience that a lot of movies for decades it was a foregone conclusion. Well, yeah, your big budget is spent on a Hollywood movie. The television budget is smaller, and now I think they've realized the impact of a good miniseries or even a multiple year series, that they can tell a bigger story and a more complex story. And yeah, again, as much as I still love watching dramas, I saw a great British comedy drama that was about a kid whose dad was a mod. It was called Pebble and the Boy, like the Paul Weller song.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It was I'm glad I got the screener for it, and it's available on demand. But it's one of those movies I would have gone to see at one of the art houses here in Chicago, maybe gotten a little bit of play. But I mean, right now it's bigger go home as far as what plays in the movie theaters these days.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just so much. There's just so much content. Like it's just over. There's like at least 5 different streaming services I could name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I have 10. I have 10, and I need them for nerd shit and boxing.
Right.
So believe me, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just I mean, I think it's it's the same in every sort of industry. It's like it's hard to get noticed unless you're big and huge. But I don't know. I mean, one I used to love going to theaters, and I'm sure I'll get back to where I enjoy it again. But also, there's a lot of like shitty things about going to the movie. Sorry, I don't know
you
if
can
I
swear.
can. Okay,
you can totally swear. Yeah.
I couldn't remember, but yeah, there was just a lot of downsides to, and I love like being able to just stay home and watch a movie that just came out, and not have to deal with other people, just to put it blankly.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, there's some downsides to it. I mean, but I think we were already on this path. The return of, I mean, mostly in the form of superhero movies, of like the blockbuster sort of dominating everything. I think it's just a cycle, like, and right now we're at that point of the cycle, but it'll swing back around, like, I mean, I have very fond memories of like the late 90s when a lot of like really impressive stuff was, like Paul Thomas Anderson and the Coen brothers and, art house type stuff was like leading the pack. And I think it's just cyclical like that, like right now. And everything's been exacerbated by COVID and
True.
so yeah, I mean, I think right now it looks a little wonky, but these things have a way of leveling back out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I think big movies will survive, and they don't have to be superhero movies to be big movies.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I a lot of stuff that again I just think was like, well, sure, it's a movie. Of course, I'm going to go see it in the theater or whatever. It's funny. I haven't seen No Time to Die yet. I noticed that now you can rent it, and it's like $20 to rent, the way that a recent release would be and stuff. But like getting together with a few of my friends, and I even like kind of texted them, we're getting together on Sunday. And I'm like, I'll be a sport and I'm happy to rent No Time to Die if nobody else has seen it. And the other guys haven't seen it. And I'm like, well, if you guys want, we can all sit and watch it on, pardon me, Chuck's big screen TV. So I'm willing to do that. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, every time, certainly during COVID, seeing Suicide Squad, I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Waited until Disney Plus for Shang-Chi.
Yeah. I mean, I'm, I don't know. I don't know that there's any movie that like you have to see on the big screen. That like, I certainly love the ritual of going to the movies and like all that entails, but I'm totally fine like skipping all that, and like I don't have to put pants on. Like,
I understand. I totally understand. That's hilarious. I think it's funny. I'm debating about Eternals in the same way that I did about Shang-Chi. I do think I'll probably see Spider-Man in the theater. Probably.
Sure.
But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And like I said, I was telling you, I think off the air, I'm going to see live music Saturday inside. I had a great concert, and Mike Norton blew me shit that I was too old to go to this concert. But it was Green Day, Weezer, and Fall Out Boy. And I'll even confess, I appreciate Fall Out Boy. I didn't need Fall Out Boy.
Sure.
That said, I was 30 when Dookie came out, and yeah, I was 30, but I still loved it. So I'm a big Green Day guy. And also I worked at the rock station for 10 years as well.
Right.
So I thought that kind of extended my appreciation of current music, life.
Well, Mike Norton has no room to judge what other people like. The movies he watches, he has no room to judge anybody about how they spend their time. So.
Well, he's just like, you're too old to be there. And I'm like, fuck you, man.
He's too old to be watching like half the garbage movies he brags about. Like,
though, dude, I love that he watches movies. I got to point out there's a great movie, and I had the filmmaker on 2 weeks ago, and it's Escape from Cell Block 13. And it's this amazing Eastern European actor, and his name is Robert Bronzy. And are you aware of this guy?
No.
Stand by.
All right.
Gee, I wonder who he looks like.
Isn't that fantastic? Real?
Yes. Isn't that fantastic? And he makes these great low-budget action movies that are made on a dime. And I had Gary Jones, the director, on, and everybody, I'm telling you, if you haven't already listened or watched the video, I implore you to do it, because he's like the nicest guy, Gary. And I just love that Mr. Bronzy is running around and totally making bank on the fact that, hey, I kind of look like Charles Bronson.
That's crazy. Yeah, I totally thought that was Charles Bronson.
And they make the titles into like almost Bronson movies. And I just would love to be, in Prague or somewhere and go, hey, I think this is a new Charles Bronson movie. I want to watch it.
That gives me hope that we live in a world where like looking like Charles Bronson is marketable still. Like,
this is something you might want to explore in a future arc of Dot Self. That maybe maybe there's like a celebrity that gets
weird knockoff celebrities.
But that's cool, man. No, I know, and I swear I'm like, I really want, and especially given like Norton is really a connoisseur of these shit movies, I want to arrange in December like him and Brownie, and because Seeley and Brownie are guys like that too, Tim Seeley and Ryan Brown, and it's like, all right, let's have a fun like sit down of like the lousy movies. You see, I'm not a horror guy, and it's a shame because I get so many PRs and screeners for horror movies, and I'm just like, you're barking up the wrong tree. But if it's if it's a prison movie, if it's a Western, if it's an action movie, a sci-fi movie, I'm like, deal me in, let me check it out. And if I like it, I want to talk to the filmmaker or the actor. I don't think Mr. Bronzi speaks English. I have a feeling he does his dialogue phonetically as all those Italian actresses did back in the 60s and shit. But yeah, it's like, okay. So anyway, Robert Bronzi, everybody. Check him out.
I'm going to.
Anything else you've been watching lately or listening to that you like?
I've been what have I been trying? I love horror, so I spent all of October watching. I can't remember. I mean, it got up to like, I think I watched like 50 horror movies in October.
Excellent.
Which kind of burned me out for November, so I haven't really been watching much. I've been like rewatching Succession because it's a show you can have on while you're working on stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Trying to think what I've been listening to. I've been listening to weird podcasts about like true crime that isn't murder, which is like, because I'm into true crime, but I'm tired of hearing about people getting murdered. Like,
yeah, no, I get it.
So I'm just about done with this one called Firebug, which is about this serial arsonist in California in the late 80s and 90s, who turned out, well, I won't spoiler it, but yeah, it's really, I don't know. I love stuff like that. I love stuff about like fraud. So there's a show called The Opportunist, which is about people who sort of become like cult leaders or scam artists. I love stuff like that. So that's kind of what I'm in search of. And yeah, I've been reading a book about the Blair Mountain coal miners strike. So I'm trying to inject some actual like history into my veins.
That's great. Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been a lot. The one upside to the pandemic is my reading has really improved, because when I started working and writing for a living, my reading just turned to garbage. Like,
sure.
It was not nearly the amount that I did before. So it's been nice to get back to a sort of happy medium where I can knock out a book in less than a week.
Attaboy. No, I hear you, man. I've been indulging in my my comedy nerd interests and my boxing nerd interests. And in fact, Saturday night, big fight. And I've already got bets laid out on it. That's the other thing is like literally, I know this. And Parker is like, "You're a diseased gambler." It's happened to you. And I'm like, no. I only bet like $25 bets. I only bet what I can afford to lose. I don't go nuts. But every now and then I'll see an upset. And I used to. I don't know if we've talked about this. The Word Balloon audience knows. I wrote for Boxing Illustrated and Ring Magazine.
Oh, okay.
and covered boxing on the radio and TV for like 15 years of my my radio career. And stopped around 2005, 2006. And during the pandemic, that was one of the few sports that was still going, because they'd go in the bubble and have fights, and they had very competitive fights, and it kind of got my interest back up again. Mm-hmm. And I still know several, a good handful of knowledgeable boxing writers that I like to have on Word Balloon, and we'll talk here and there and stuff. And I just started with Manny Pacquiao's last fight. I'm like, he's going to lose. I know this opponent. He's a really good fighter, and nobody's paying attention to the fact that he's going to beat Pacquiao. So I bet on that. I won a couple $100. Bet on the cruiserweight 190-pound champion to beat the British heavyweight champion, Anthony Joshua. The guy's name is Usyk, and I won that upset. And then I bet on Canelo just a couple weeks ago to knock out. I bet on Tyson Fury to knock out Deontay Wilder, because I knew. I don't know if you know Mike Choi, the great artist.
I know of him.
Mike is a big boxing fan, and he and I were discussing. I'm like, dude, Deontay Wilder's going to come out and try and knock out Tyson Fury, and that's going to leave him wide open for Fury to knock him out. And that's exactly what happened. and I won again. And I've lost a couple in the interim and stuff. But again, small $25 bets, maybe $50. And I bet on Canelo to knock out his guy, Caleb Plant. He knocked him out. So I'm betting on this Saturday. It's Bud Crawford against Sean Porter. I think Sean Porter is a slick boxer, but I think Bud Crawford's got enough power and enough counterpunching and finesse to once again knock him out. So I put bets on him to knock him out.
Where do you bet of these things? Online?
Yeah, I bet online.
Okay.
They make you register at whatever the nearest casino is.
Oh,
And,
okay.
there's DraftKings and that stuff. To do DraftKings, and as a former Chicago guy, you'll appreciate this. They're like, well, the only casino that is registered with DraftKings in your state is in East St. Louis. And I'm like, I am not exactly. I am not going to East St. Louis is a very dangerous town. And I am not going down to East St. Louis to just be able to bet on DraftKings. So there's Des Plaines and Rosemont at the border. There's Rivers Casino. And I just registered there. And yeah, man, I don't bet and right now, my God, through Christmas, there are great fights literally every week, including Christmas weekend. It's insane. So I'm paying attention, and actually, I'm very bummed. There was supposed to be on October 30th a very good heavyweight fight that I was very convinced that the underdog would beat the winner and the favorite, and the favorite pulled out with a shoulder injury, and everyone's like, bullshit. You just don't want to fight this guy. And I was very bummed because I'm like, this is going to be another upset. I can feel it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm a diseased gambler. But the comedy nerd side, if I may, I'm talking to. They made a great, and again, as a former Chicago guy, they made a great documentary about the club, Mr. Kelly's. And Mr. Kelly's was this 50s through late 70s club that all the jazz people would go to, but all the stand-ups of the 50s era of the Mort Sauls and the Lenny Bruces and Carlin when he was young, Woody Allen when he was young. Bob Newhart cut his first 2 albums at Mr. Kelly's.
Oh, wow.
And it's this really, really cool documentary. It's streaming on Amazon. It's called Live at Mr. Kelly's. Right. And Barbara Streisand opens the show because when she was just breaking through, she played Mr. Kelly's and stuff. It's amazing. It's a great documentary, and I'm talking to the producer of that. So that's going to be a lot.
I'll check that out.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that, man. So yeah, that's a good opportunity for me to tease what I'm doing and what I've got coming up. So no cool procedurals like the way Chris's books are and stuff.
Yeah, but you're making cash on yours. Like,
well, I hope you make cash on yours as well.
Well, yeah, mine's more down the road thing.
I understand. Well, you're
getting your winnings all at once.
Yeah, that's true on the boxing side. You got Foul Brood, the first 2 issues, and everybody check out the Kickstarter campaign for this. There's still 3 weeks. So there's plenty of time to get back on, to back this and help Chris and company out on that. And again, from Oni Press, we got Dirtbag Rapture, very cool and fun supernatural comedy. And finally, Dot Self, very interesting, very novel sci-fi look at where maybe the modern world is going. And I remind everybody too that Comixology, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can get these books for free.
Yeah.
It's the best comic book deal. I mean, really, I feel like such an ass because I do appreciate local and brick and mortar stores and everything. But having an Amazon Prime account, it's like, why wouldn't you, of all the benefits you get along with the 2-day shipping, that's really what you want most of all. I mean, it pays it pays for itself so quickly.
Yeah, after the shipping, it's my favorite perk. Like, because and like, all these things are coming out in print. So like,
right.
We have, so if you don't want to read it digitally, you just hang out and wait. And there will be a trade of it. So
have you announced that? I don't want you to go ahead of your
No, we haven't announced it, but yeah,
okay.
I mean, we've got things in the works. So
cool. Well done, Chris. As
Thanks.
Always, I'm happy to talk about these books and let everyone know that what you're doing currently. And look back to Clown Motel as we do.
As always, yeah. Always
absolutely.
happy to reminisce.
So, no, thanks for coming on today, and good luck, continued success, and
Thanks.
Truly, anytime you got something new, run, hit the bat signal, and I'll come running.
I'll get better about bugging you.
Please do, because seriously, I always do feel bad when people like yourself, and it's like, oh, we haven't talked in like at least 6 years or whatever the hell it's been, and it's like, shit, that's wrong. That's 100 kinds of wrong. So good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'll be better about it.
All right. Well, beautiful, man. And I'll try to keep my eyes peeled as well. Everybody, thanks for watching. Good questions. And I appreciate everybody watching and listening. And more great Word Balloon Live coming next week. We'll have a couple shows before Thanksgiving, I promise you.